Hello my friends, it's Kayla. This is my second of 4 quarterly updates for 2022. At this point, I'm just doing these videos for myself because I feel really good about them essentially closing a door to each season, and then I can move on to fresh new things. But I feel like you've heard about all of these books in wrap-ups, vlogs, and my mid-year freakout that I just recently did. But if you want just a combination of some stats and you want to feel like you're wrapping up your quarter with me, then thank you so much for being here. In the last quarter, we're talking April, May, and June, I read 63 things, and I already organized them into the videos that I read them for, which is just, I'm just a whole new person. I'm not going to spend this video knocking over piles and pausing to fix things. I already set it up. First though, we need to talk about stats. So where should I put you? I don't know, there's not really space. Over here, I'll show you some graphs though of what has happened in the last 3 months. And weirdly, I feel like these stats are almost identical to my first quarter. So we have all of my star ratings. There's 5 stars all the way down to 1 star. And once again, my #1 slice of pie is 5-star reads. And I'm just really living my best life. And I'm so happy to be here. And I really needed this joy-filled reading year. There have been some flops. Clearly, you know, the pie has a lot going on. But it actually goes in order. My biggest is 5 stars. My next is 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. So incredible. I did do 10 rereads. So if you took those out of the pie, it actually wouldn't affect it that much, so never mind. What else should I show you? Oh, here's when I read them. So in April, I read 18 books. May, I read 22. June, I read 23. And then overall, there were 44 adult novels, 17 young adult novels, and 2 middle grades. So at this point, I'm reading twice as many adult as young adult. A lot of my rereads, though, were young adult, so I don't know, that just explains part of it. And then what else? Genres. #1 genre, fantasy. Fantasy's growing great for me this year. Then we've got contemporary next in line. Thrillers are next. I don't feel like I've read a lot of thrillers, but apparently I have. Then we've got sci-fi, mystery. I separated mystery and thriller for the first time. I've also got a couple like horror, a couple anthologies, a couple historical, nonfiction, whatever else you see in there. And now we can get into these stacks of when I read the books. So I vlogged all of these ones. I think there's 43 of them. And then there's 19 books-ish that I read just for me, like on my own time. I didn't put them in any videos except like obviously the monthly wrap-ups. I think there's 5 books in here that I read for videos that I wouldn't have picked up on my own. So everything from here is like, most things from here are from my existing TBR, things that I picked to fit into a specific video. You know what I mean? So let's begin with, I read the most books for this vlog. Look, I didn't have to stop. I could just grab it and go. This vlog where I read books that I should have picked for other videos. I read this stack of 10, and the standouts from here were probably The Chain and A Heart in the Body and the World, though I didn't read any like 5-star standouts from this video. There are also some ones that like were better than I thought they would be. Normal People, Sabrina, but then there was also some flops. So watch that vlog if you haven't already. The next video I read the most books for, I read 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. In my sci-fi Dewey's vlog. Standouts from this, there's only one, and that is Sea of Tranquility. This one also was a win, and the rest of these were not. Next, I read a bunch of new releases for this vlog. I basically just picked up 2022 releases, either ARCs, new things that I bought, or things I got from the library, and I started reading them, and I only talked about them if I continued liking them. So I started reading 7 books. Another one is over there, but I completed 5 for the video, and we had 4 stars and 5 stars. So the standouts from this one were Woman Eating by Claire Coda, Sometime in Summer by Katrina Leno, and Out There by Kate Folk. I also completed 5 books in my Cozy Mystery series that I'm working on right now, and the standouts from this one were these two right here, A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn and Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Satanto. Another 5 books I read for a video was about rereading my old favorites. This went better than the first time I did it, and my rating pretty much stayed for almost everything. The best thing that I've reread, it's hard because I want to say The Sky is Everywhere, but I just watched the movie with my channel members and I feel like it's tainted my view on the whole thing. So we're gonna say Far From the Tree by Robin Benway was the standout. Then in a video where I went and stayed in a little dome, geodesic dome, is that what it's called? I read 4 horror books. One of them I technically didn't finish until the drive home, but all of these were 4 and 5 stars too. The best ones were Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin and The Between by Tanana Reeve-Du. I read 3 thrillers in a Third Time's a Charm video where I was reading from authors that I have liked one book from and disliked one book from, and this was the 3rd time to see if I want to read more from them. None of them were 5-star standout winners, but it was a good time if you haven't watched the video yet. And then these 3 were what I read for book club picks, so they do have dedicated discussion videos. That some I liked more than others. I guess my favorite from here is Confessions by Kane Minato. And then yeah, we've got just this stack that I didn't make any videos surrounding. I just read them. We've obviously got my reread of the Raven Cycle that I do every single April. I read a good amount of books sent to me by publishers. None of these were 5 stars. So I guess there wasn't any standouts. But the ones I enjoyed the most were The Change by Kirsten Miller and Queen of the Tiles by Hannah Alcaff. I read 4 library books. These 2 were so good that I went out and purchased my own copies like immediately after, and these were both the standouts. How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu and Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. Though I just finished In the Dream House a couple days ago, and I do plan to buy my own copy because this was 5 stars, Carmen Marie Machado. And then I also read this one. That was good, but I digress. Last stack is just things that were off just my TBR for funsies. And the standouts here were The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin and The Stars and the Blackness Between Them by Janana Patras. So that's that. Now to decide 5. Only 5 books to feature in my favorites segment. I have 13 to choose from that aren't rereads that I read for the first time that I could potentially feature here. These are all like on such a similar level to me that it's so hard to pick, and I know I don't have to pick, that's just a rule that I've placed upon myself. But also, do you want to guess, do you either in your mind or in the comments, what 5 do you think I'm about to mention as my top 5? I think that you will think a couple in here that I'm not gonna pick. What I've noticed when people predict other people's favorites, or like when I see people predict my favorites, it's often like just in recent memory kind of stuff. So the books that I have been most recently excited about and have been like, oh my god, this is so great, those are the ones that stick in your mind. Meanwhile, maybe I read something at the very beginning of this season that had such a big impact, and maybe I didn't express how much of an impact it had. Though obviously with my most recent video, my mid-year book freakout, you already know my favorite book of the year is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, so I don't think we even need to count down. I've probably pitched this enough times that you already know what it's about, so let me try to describe it in a different way or give you reasons to pick this up besides just like there's the world's in an apocalypse, people can control, the earth shakes, okay? First of all, there's polyamory. Second of all, there's people who eat rocks. It's very cool. Thirdly, it's got a very extensive appendix, and maybe that's a selling point for you. Maybe it's not. It is for me. I find this very easy to understand. Once you're about halfway into the book, I feel like you get it, and that's when it starts to get really good. And I know that's an investment, but I would really encourage you to continue if you haven't before. And then last thing, it's just interesting, okay? It's timely, it's about humanity, it's about people's impact on the planet, it's about exploiting the Earth's resources, and it's just good, okay? It's good. Next up, I know this won't be a surprise to you, my number 4 or my number 2. What order are we going in? This belongs on my top 5. It's Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan. I have actually read this 3 times. I just haven't told you about it. I just keep listening to the audiobook. It's very good. And again, this is one that I feel like requires about halfway through the book before not it gets good, but like you really grasp who everyone is and why it's so good. And again, I've explained this a lot. Exiled goddess, her daughter goes and she's like a companion to the prince, but she's also like in the military, and this is one of my favorite love triangles I've ever read. It's about betrayal. It's got her just living her own life, making her own decisions, but always in the back of her mind is like, how can I save my mother? How can I get her to be with me again? It's just this really beautiful story, and it has friends to lovers, and it has lovers to enemies tropes. Like, how can you not be into it? Then I'm gonna do these in tandem because I really feel like, I'll say it again, these work so well together, and I would recommend them together because though they are totally different vibes, they're in the same like genre, and I just think that if you appreciate one, you'll appreciate the other. So How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu is about a plague. So it starts out with this ancient plague being released kind of accidentally, and the impact that it has on generations, and all of these sort of interwoven stories, but you don't really get how it's all connected until later on. But we have stories like people's children dying and then putting them on this roller coaster for the last time, and it's dark. It's got a pig who is a test subject who develops like human speech and emotions, and the impact that that has on the scientist. There's a story of a hotel that houses dead bodies. It's a good time about what you do in the face of tragedy. And then Out There by Kate Folk is about mostly like women and just their interaction with the world. Both of these are speculative. So like there's one story about how people are dating robots and how like maybe that's not such a bad thing. There's a story about a woman going into the woods and who wants to get shot by a hunter. One story has a house full of functioning organs. And then one of my favorites is about this family who kind of plays a game, competes to injure each other. I feel like those were my obvious 4 picks, easy. And then my number 5 is gonna be, it's so hard because they're all so different. They all gave me something so different. But I'm actually gonna go with Confessions by Kane Minato, translated by Steven Snyder, because as you might know, read a lot of thrillers. Don't give out 5 stars very often. And this was just such a wild time, and I haven't had this feeling in so long that it's also one of my most recommended books for anybody trying to get out of a reading slump. This is one of the most readable, unputdownable books I have ever read. And it's about this teacher who is giving one last lecture to her students after she quits her job because there has been a tragedy, and she wants to call out the students in class who are responsible and how they're responsible. There's 6 different chapters, all from different POVs. We've got the teacher, we've got people in the class, other people who know people in the class, and you find out the reasoning behind why this tragedy occurred, why certain people are seeking revenge. It feels very ridiculous and over the top, but it also feels very real and raw, and it's about the terrible things that you will do because of your desperate love for someone. The chapters are very long, but there's like a reveal in each one that every time is more shocking than the last. And that's that. I had a fantastic reading quarter. I hope you did too. I hope the year continues to look up, because the things I'm picking for myself, the situations I'm putting myself into are just going quite well. Though I'm realizing, like, sitting here looking at my 5-star stack, it doesn't look as impactful because there's all of these other books over here. But I just have very, very fond feelings about the last 3 months of my reading life. And I will see you later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!